Hello, folks. This is Thread Pickle. Welcome to Deal With It. And I've got something I want to say. While I was on a different pod this past week, I made a reference to Dave Canales and Bryce and all. And I support Bryce Young. Yes, I certainly do. Because he's a Carolina Panthers quarterback, and I want to see him succeed because I don't want to go through another complete rebuild. I don't want to go through all that BS. Some people probably won't mind to go through all that because they may, in a slim chance, get what they want. But we got to remember, folks, we're fans. We're not going to get everything we want all the time. This ain't Madden. You don't get to pick and choose what you want in life. The NFL owner will hire who he wants, or the GM will hire who they want, who their things rather. Guess what? They don't look at Twitter seeing who the fans want. When they go to draft, they don't look at the fans' opinion. They don't do a score and vote on it in the fan forum. They pick who they want. They don't really give a rat's ass who the flying fluffing pick the fans want. Tight end. Dan Morgan has obviously decided our tight end core is good enough. Guess what? It's good enough for him. Mike Martz was once a offensive coordinator and head coach, and he hated using tight ends for anything more than blocking. He just did. That just was his system. And Dave Canales' system ain't far from that. Dave Canales came to Carolina and he had 1 year experience as being an offensive coordinator and calling plays. 1 year. And it was okay. It wasn't the best in the world, but it was okay. And listen, we knew when we hired him, and I told everybody, D's and Cole, everybody said, you got to give them a chance. They're learning. Bryce is learning. Bryce was learning. Dave Canales is learning. Brad Isaac is learning. Like it or not like it, they're learning. Uh, Even when Gerald, when he came here, he didn't have a lot of experience playing defensive coordinator. Okay, you're gonna there are tape out there, and it's not hard to find where Bryce misses open receivers and tight ends. That's nothing new to me and Brother D's and Cole because we watched film last year and told you people there were tight ends were open for about whatever reason Bryce is missing it. Now, does he miss them because he don't trust them? That's possible because we've also said that. Granted, some people may not like that opinion because it doesn't fit their narrative they want to put. That replacing Bryce Young will solve all the Carolina Panthers problems. Y'all realize, according to them, you replace Bryce Young, hell, we're going to the Super Bowl 5 times probably. Then, of course, some of them never played football in their freaking life, not even in flag football and little league. But they want to act like they know it all. They want to act like they know all that shit. Well, maybe they do, and maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. But you guys are the fans, and you guys pick the podcast you want to watch. So you decide that. You decide what podcast you want to watch. We're never going here at the Blue Black Attack podcast. We're never going to go all in completely head over heels and put a guy up upon a mountain like he's a god.
Thank
But
you.
when a player makes mistakes, we're going to call it out in a respectful manner. You know, we're going to understand they're learning, they're making mistakes, but hey, they still get paid. We're still fans, so sometimes we might be a little bit harsh, but we mean it in love, not criticism. But we'll always be even. We'll always be cool. We'll always be content. We may not like everything that happens, but we're going to be here. We're going to support our Carolina Panthers. We're not going to promote one player above all the rest because it fits a narrative. I personally don't think Trevent Wallace is a quality NFL player at all. Period. If I was head coach or GM, he wouldn't even line up on special teams. He wouldn't even line up on my practice squad. But I'm not the owner. I'm not the head coach, and I'm not the GM or a scout. I'm a fan. So I'm going to sit over in my little corner with my little mouth. Well, and my mouth ain't little, and I damn sure can't keep it shut. But nonetheless, I'm going to say what I want to say, but I'm going to be respectful to Wallace. Why? Because he is an NFL player. And I can say I've never been an NFL player. Y'all keep pounding. We here at the Blue Black Attack podcast will always keep pounding. Y'all want to. Well, I messed that one up. Well, anyway, we're on to the show. Maybe we're not.
Rock it out.
From the Carolinas, where the black and blue runs deep. Panther Pickle's on the mic, no secrets that he'll keep. Been here since day one, through the glory and the pain. Got opinions sharper than a linebacker's campaign. If you can't handle truth, well, buddy, here's the deal. Shut the hell up. That's how Pickle keeps it real. It's time to deal with it.
What's up, Diesel Skills? How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. I told everybody Thursday night on the Cole show. I told you we weren't done. Told you.
Right.
We were not done. We had a video Friday. We had a short zone Friday. We had Saturday morning for you first thing. We had Morgan's miscues. Thank you for all the support through the weekend to the subscribers. 142 of the coolest people on YouTube, as a matter of fact, and apparently the most loyal. Because then we came back Sunday night, double dipped over the weekend, and had a fantastic edition of the Brotherhood. Well, shoot, I don't have to tell you about it. Why don't D-Money tell you about it?
Yo, what's going on, my Panther family, Blue and
What's up,
Black
brother?
Attack family, man?
What's
Hey,
up, D?
just happy to be in the building with my brothers, the greatest YouTube Panther producer and Diesel Skills, my man Cole, host of the Cole Show, and my first ballot Hall of Famer, Panther Pickles. It's always just a great time to be in the building. And thanks everybody for the support of last night's episode. We got the most loyal and coolest fan base all through these YouTube and social media streets. And I'm forever thankful for all who tuned in. Well, besides that, if you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade. Damn.
Yes, sir.
You mad about it, Cole? You salty? You sound salty.
Yeah, I'm still these. I'm still trying to just grab myself and remember that I'm in this podcast and in this show with y'all. I got locked into Panther Pickle's opening monologue. You did one hell of a job right then, sir. I just want to commend you for everything you said. It felt like you were speaking for me.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be here
Thank
with
you,
y'all
sir.
this evening.
The key,
Dang, I hate I missed it.
the message for tonight is narratives. We don't push narratives about one or two players, good or bad. We push what we feel is best for the Carolina Panthers. We've said all offseason, way back going to when the game ended, that we didn't feel they would go and bring in another tight end or draft a tight end. We did some mocks, but regardless, we always felt they wouldn't go do a tight end issue. They didn't. We've also said that we understood that for whatever reason, and we said it that way, or I said it that way because I didn't want to push a narrative out there, but for whatever reason, Bryce would miss players. And sometimes that does happen. It's happened to every quarterback who's ever played the game. Sometimes you miss a player or two. It just happens that way. And there are times when a quarterback would throw to one guy's And this one guy, for whatever reason, whatever position it is, this guy has an issue catching balls, and the quarterback would just stop throwing to him. Now, I've seen this in other teams. I'm not saying it happened here, but for whatever reason, Bryce would miss players. That's not calling Bryce a bad guy. That's just saying that he's learning. But there's also could go into effect and say the head coach who was calling plays, maybe he wasn't scheming up the correct plays because he was trying to play quarterback and play caller, and the offensive coordinator was trying to scheme up and develop plays for the playbook, but he wasn't calling the plays either, so he didn't necessarily knew in the rhythm of the game what needed to be called and what couldn't. And they're all ain't worked as in their current jobs, but a couple years they're super green, so they're figuring this out as they go. Maybe the Carolina Panther fans need to develop a lot of patience and understanding and quit criticizing these players just because some fans want to push a narrative. Um, but I'm about done with that conversation. Y'all, uh, excuse me, but I ran it a little bit. But hey, that's what I'm here for.
And it is what it is. Nothing you said was a lie.
Right, right,
Sometimes I've been guilty
right,
of that pickle just with my fanaticism, but mostly
right,
when I condemn people, it's just production only. I am not going to
right,
sit here in my chair every Sunday and want any Carolina Panther to suck just so I can be like, I'm right, get him off the
right,
team. Too
right,
much hate
Well,
going on. That's not a Panther
right,
fan.
part of the problem is the thing I call the shiny suit theory. And
yeah,
when I say the shiny suit theory, right, you know how they say it always look like the grass is greener. So when
yeah,
there's a player that pops up that's either about to be traded, free agency or whatever, when these guys already have a lower opinion about a certain room, and then you have that shiny name out there, the first thing I see half the time is Panthers. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, that's a dream, that's a wish, but what's the realism of it? Like, look at our
right,
schemes, look at how we're set up, look at how they play call before you just get so excited. And I think people get disappointed because they put all the eggs in the basket. They see that shiny thing and they want to go near that shiny thing. And then they get jealous when another squad has that shiny thing. But see, the part that confuses me in all of this is for the last 2 to 3 seasons. Besides the fact that our Panther fans and brothers and sisters wanting a winner, right? They all kept
right.
yelling that they wanted consistency. They wanted development. Well, the
Hmm.
thing is if you give up on these guys after 2 seasons, you've already bailed out on development. And then
Yes,
they're always sitting there crying when the cat now leaves the franchise. The one that you begged and begged and begged to get off the franchise, and then he'll go somewhere else, have 1,000 yards, or have a record-breaking tackle game, or starting to do good things with another team. And then the first thing you want to do is criticize GMs and everybody else. Take some accountability. Take some accountability. You sat there, you weren't patient, you didn't have no grace, and the first thing you want to do is run a dude out of town, but then be envious when he succeeds elsewhere. When this is a league where they already say not for long. So a lot of things like your success, not for long. Your health, not for long. And in some cases, your struggles, not for long. And sometimes it just takes a season or two of mistakes, a season or two of lack of production, but also 2 off seasons, 3 off seasons, learning how to put in the work. And then when these guys put in the work, you see a better product, and then you can't let go of the narrative. So it has to be more of a hate train, and that's not what's needed. I know I saw one comment where a dude was talking about, yo, I really hate Cowboy fans because of how they are, whatever. But he notices that they will support any player delusionally. And I'm not asking nobody to support a player delusionally. If you honestly don't like the production, say you don't like the production. But just because you got some dudes in the room that don't get attract you as far as what you want in a certain room doesn't mean that they're trash. It doesn't mean that they can't produce for the Carolina Panthers. Sometimes all it takes is just some time. It's just time. Cam Newton, yeah, his first game, he might have threw for 400 yards, but we didn't get that consistent success from that particular player for 2 to 3 years down the line to where it affected the team where we started winning games and going to that upper echelon. All we got to do is just show a little bit of patience, have a little bit of grace, and do it all in love.
That's right. Well said, D. Well said. Yeah, like, and this is not a hate on Canales or anybody else. Just a feeling, you know. I think a lot of times we have to support what the team does and the decisions are made. Canales took it apart. Well, there's some different feelings, but either way, Canales come out and said he looked at film, he watched some things, self-evaluated himself, and said, you know, maybe it's me. We got to change some things up because, and by and large, I think he's right on that respect because there were times they would get a false start because they weren't ready to snap the ball. Canales was trying to do play calling and figure out what to call at the same time doing head coach duties. Now, you can say other teams do that, and they do, but other teams have done it for a long time with plenty of experience, and they understand what they need to do. Plus, they have some backups out there that'll take over and do one or two different things while they do this other thing. That's the design of their coaching staff because they're not new at this and they understand what they're doing. And a lot of other fans don't seem to realize that per se. So a lot of this is maybe educational, just giving our opinions on it. I highly support Canales when he said he wanted to give Brad Isaac a chance to call plays, and I kind of agree with that. You know, it hire somebody outside the building just to call plays, but with Brad Isaac waiting to try it, you know, it's kind of disrespectful. So I understand that route. I like the fact they went out and got an experienced play caller that knows Canales and knows Brad and they're friends, so it's not a kick in the nuts, so to speak. Plus, maybe he can feel that he's open to give suggestions. And I think the team's all better for it. I really do. I like Canales. I think he's going to be an excellent head coach someday. He's just going through this learning curve, and we just need to be patient and let him learn it. And like Justin says here in this chat, I'm not a fan of Ivero's scheme either, but I don't want him to fail. I'm not maybe I'm not the biggest Dave Canales fan, but I don't want him to fail. You know, maybe I'm not the biggest Bryce fan there ever is, but I don't want him to fail. So anyway,
that's because you put the team above the narrative. That's why.
Right,
Like
exactly.
you were saying earlier,
exactly.
that's exactly what it ties back to.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting thing with these two OCs we got going into this year. And I like a lot of what the discussion in the chat they have going on about this. It is a lot to think about. They've already made me think of something I haven't considered yet. What if I already expect things to kind of be bumpy, Pickle? You know what I mean?
Right.
You got a lot of new players in the offensive line. That offense was 27th last year. We're switching play callers. It's a first-year play caller. I'm not expecting everything to be roses. You know what I mean? There's going to be some bumps in the road. And what happens if Canales decides that this ain't working? This is worse than when I was calling plays. I'm just going to take the play calling duties back. I haven't thought about that. And that really could be something that we see happen this year. To me, it's a testament to Dave to make the playoffs in his second year as a head coach, to win the division the second year as a head coach, and then turn around and say, you know what? I'm not good enough for this play calling thing. I'm going to get somebody else to do it. Given it was his best friend,
right,
basically, his workout buddy and everything, I mean, maybe they're in a situation where they can hand the play calling duties off back and forth and nobody gets their feelings hurt. I mean, that might be the reality of where this Panthers team is. I don't know. But it's just really, really interesting conversation around this and what happens if things don't get off to a good start. And as far as Ivero, I'm with the long-term plan. I'm with Tepper's long-term. And I think it's Tepper's plan. Tepper's plan, bring Ivero in, keep him here, fill him up with a good defensive squad until he's good enough where he gets his own head coaching job. And there's there's been no deviation. There's been no looking back. There's been no threats made. Even when it was the worst defense in NFL history, no threats were made. As a matter of fact, we doubled down and signed a man to an extension of all things.
Yes,
and that's just unheard of in the NFL.
That was a bad day for me.
That is that's
right.
just unheard of. In the
NFL. And my friend, that's something that we, I didn't like that. I didn't like it when I heard that. Cole didn't like that when he heard that. But Dan is doing what he thinks best. I can't fault that man for doing that route. And hey, our
Pickle,
defense,
I think we both feel better about that.
Right. And our defense, shout out to Ivero, our defense, Paul was recently done and claimed we could be a top 10 offense, a defense. You know what? In different respect. And, if Ivero produces a top 10 defense and gets a head coach job somewhere, we fans should not be upset about it, because that's how the NFL works. That's really how the NFL works. So,
Pickle, y'all just went through a lot of things, so I'm gonna just kind of chop it up and go through quick with all three things. With talking about,
I agree.
Oh my
Stephen
God,
Billy.
why am I being crazy right now? Who's calling play? Is it all right? Is it? All right, this is what I want to say about that. I digested that and put that in the back of my mind the day that Dave said it at the press conference, because you were right. He was very open about that. I'm not going to say it was his opening presser, but it was a presser that was very, very, very early in his tenure, where he adamantly said that Izzy was going to eventually take over the play calls. So it's not like a rash, he was a failure at it or anything like that. They were grooming him to take that position. And D's, you presented a good picture, because if shit does go south, there's always that option. Or Canales feels like his job down the road may be heating up. That's what coaches tend to do. They take over play calling when they're on their last leg. But I don't think we'll ever see that with Dave. And there was one more thing, but I can't remember it right now. So go ahead, Pickle. Y'all are doing great, though.
Yeah, it goes. Dan has shown the ability to be patient with his coaches, and by a lot of respect, patient with his players. But I think those players have to give him, and coaches, they have to give him something in return. For example, Jalen Crumity was released after only being here a year, but he was a 6th-round pick. But Xavier Legette was a 1st-round pick, and he's still here and he struggles. Sanders is a 4th-round pick, is still here, he struggles. So my point of the matter is, and Wallace, Brett Wallace has been here 3 years, or is this his 3rd year? Anyway,
it will be.
Yeah. So, and he struggled a little bit. So, Dan's patient with them to learn and develop. And I'm a fan. I may not be as patient as Dan is, but when Dan makes decisions, we got to stand by it, And listen, we're fans. I told Cole the other day on Twitter, I said, no. I said, this is Dan's call. Dan's going to hold still at linebacker, and I'm going to support him at the end of the year. If it don't work out well, I'm going to let him know how I feel. Now, he might not know it, and he might skip over it, have a chuckle, laugh at me, but I'm still going to voice my opinion about it. So, sometimes Dan lets everybody got the patience and let them develop, but that's good for Dan, because I'd hate to think that we will let one of these athletes go somewhere else and all of a sudden they become a mega superstar for somebody else. I'd be more upset in that than I would be if we kept him for a little while. So,
all right, I remember the third thing, Pickle, and I'm glad this is recorded
ahead.
because it almost makes me sick to say, but I'm just being really, really honest with Ivero. With him, I kind of see what he's trying to do now. The better that we're getting on defense. Of course, we are all going to rant, rave, scream, and yell when you have a pass rusher dropping back into coverage. But we saw good things happen in the Super Bowl when we did that.
Right.
He had an interception in the damn Super Bowl doing shit like that. Avero's scheme is exotic. We don't run a traditional 3-4 every single play. We do not run a traditional 4-3 every single play. And I know Trevin's going to get some serious snaps, but with so many different sets on defense, if there's only a need for Devin out there on the field, that could cut down on his snaps, especially since you got all these other pieces on defense now. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think if we're playing good, it could cause trouble for quarterbacks and force turnovers. And the main point I wanted to get across with that, Pickle, with all that shit I just said, it does not matter. If you got your safeties and your cornerbacks are locking down people in pass coverage every single play, you're going to get sacks. You're going to get that coverage sacks and just the exotic blitzes and things like that. Like, it really could work out. I do see why they're projecting us to be top 10 if we handle our business.
Right. And you know, who are we to well, let me just say, a lot of people, me and Cole's one of them, that were screaming, get Wallace off this team. And for sometimes some folks may even want Xavier Legette off this team. What happens? How are we going to feel if Wallace has an excellent year and people at the end of this season are talking about he's one of the best in the league? What if Xavier Legette plays so good this year that teams are calling us wanting to give high draft picks for him? We don't know.
That's why we did a video on this over the weekend. It's exactly why I chose that topic, because it only takes, it really only takes a few good games. And for a guy like XL, he doesn't have to have 1,000-yard season like D-Money was talking about in that video. Mm-hmm. All the dudes really let Xavier Legette catch a ball, break a tackle, and win the game for us. That's all it would take, literally, in the blink of an eye. All is forgiven. XL is a fantastic number 2 wide receiver. And it could happen week 2 of the season. Like, literally. Something like that could transpire in the preseason. And the sentiment around him change. And that's why we had that big conversation, because it needs to be had. It's not going to take a lot. It's going to take something in the right moment to change everyone's opinion. What if it's in overtime? What if we go into overtime week 1, week 2, and then Xavier Legette catches a game-winning touchdown?
It won't take many of those, and you know that.
Yeah. Nobody's going to be saying, oh, well, why didn't he catch for more than 600 yards? Nobody's going to care.
Nobody's going to be thinking about that.
He got us a dub. That's the only thing that anybody's going to care about. And so, anyway, a lot of
I will say, let me say this, Deez, because, I get mine off on XL because I tell y'all about the production and stuff like that. But I will say this. I have never thought that XL was bad in the red zone. He is actually a really good red zone receiver if he can just catch the damn ball and get his feet down. He's made plays in the red zone before. That's when he's at his best. Mm-hmm. And that might be a good role for him going forward. He doesn't need a shit ton of receiving yards. Catch the damn ball 10, 15, 20 yards in the red zone and get you a touchdown. Right. You can be way more efficient like that.
Right. And the good thing, though, that I've seen that I like is Xavier Legette worked out. The rookies were on one field. He was over to the side on another, working out, running some reps, doing what he could absolutely do to be better. D-Money put out a real good video the other day.
Please watch it. You need to.
And he talked that, shout out to D-Money. Xavier Legette didn't go to the racetrack this year. Xavier Legette didn't go do a rap video this year. Xavier Legette didn't show everybody his skinned squirrels. Xavier Legette didn't do all that. Maybe that's why Squirrel Wright retired. He was afraid of Legette. Oh, anyway.
Look at you connecting dots.
Anyway, back on topic. Xavier Legette is working out. He's trying hard, and he's working his butt off to get better. I like that in a player. If he's struggling, you go get better. You work yourself to get better. You don't go have a beer, prop your feet up, and say, hell, maybe better luck next time. That's what I do. But good thing I'm not an NFL player, because my butt would have been cut my rookie year. So
he did the same thing at South Carolina, Pickle. This is no different. This is the exact same situation where he pops off after being at South Carolina for a couple of years. I'm sorry, I don't recall right now whether it was 2 or 3, but he was there a couple of years before he really started catching fire, and he had a really big season. And the same thing could happen again. We
Right.
How quickly we forget the guy had a 92-yard game last year.
Right. He did.
I mean, he almost had a
Absolutely.
100-yard game. He's not a complete failure, like you said. We've seen flashes from these guys, and if they just get a little bit better, that flash becomes consistent. And then it's consistent enough for us as Panthers fans to accept them. Really, most of these guys as backup players, or at least serviceable starters. You know, we're not saying you got to be a superstar because we drafted you in the first round, are we? Is that what we're really saying? Because that doesn't make sense. Not everybody drafted in the first round is going to be a superstar, but they might be a serviceable starter, or they might be a serviceable backup.
Right.
And I think we're just trying to find that area, Pickle. Are they a starter or are they a backup? And I think that's really what the discussion should be, rather than is it boom or bust? Because in reality, it's not that black and white. It's very much gray and muddled.
Absolutely. It just because a player is drafted in the first or second round don't mean they're an automatic superstar in 2 years. And if they're not an elite superstar in 2 years, flush them down the toilet, do it all over again. That may be the way people handle Madden game, but at the end of the day, they can turn the machine off, hit reset, they'll do it all over again, go to bed, sleep good at night, knowing that they played good on their Madden game. That's not how real life football is handled.
I wish it was.
Yeah, I do too. I'd figure out how to hack that sucker.
Yes,
but
I would.
Anyway, that's not. I mean, this ain't George Jetson's football league. So but we'll listen to Haynes King real quick. I like what he had to say. I like Haynes King. A lot of people want to make him a strictly a Taysom Hill type guy. I think he could do a similar role to that, but I don't want that to be all that we ask him to do. I think that's selfish on our part if that's all we're doing. I think we should develop him. I do think he could be a good quarterback someday if he's developed correctly. And then when I say a good quarterback, I mean exactly what I said, a good quarterback. I'm not going to up here and tell you he's going to be a franchise quarterback or a guaranteed starter or a quality backup. I just said I think he could be a good quarterback. You can take that good part and rearrange it for your own selfish benefit, but my boys know what I mean when I say good.
Well, I can't speak for other podcasts, but this podcast told you months in advance. As soon as Dan Morgan come out and said they were looking for somebody with some running ability, this was the first guy I looked to. And once I watched some of his tape, I was like, oh, man, please bring this guy to Carolina. Because I'm sick of getting busted by Taysom Hill. I mean, the Saints swept us last year, and Taysom Hill looked like a Mack truck running through our defense. I'm serious. And I'm like, well, why don't we try to deploy some of that on our own? And I like this interview, Pickle, because he gets asked the question straight out, and you get his honest response to it. So I'm excited to watch this, and I've got thoughts for it afterwards. Because I'm excited about the prospect of him being a gadget player, but not probably not on the 53-man roster all year long. Probably a guy that's added late in the year for a tough game. We got a lot of tough games this year. We got a first place schedule. Probably somebody like we bring him in and he catches people off guard because they haven't seen much of him this year. They didn't know what to expect from him type thing. That's what I kind of see as his role. That's just me personally though. But let's hear what he had to say about it.
Haynes, why was the Panthers the right fit for you when you got the calls after the draft? And what have you learned about this organization over the last 2 days?
Yeah, I feel like it's the right fit. And, what I've learned is
they
care about the culture, their locker room, who they bring in here. They do a lot of research on that. And, there's a lot of great people in the building. And I love that aspect of it.
When I talked to you in Indy, you talked about the mindset of a backup quarterback and serving the starting quarterbacks. What is it about that position right now that you kind of have to hone in on as you gradually get into the flow with Rice and Penny?
Yeah, really just focusing on being a great person, and two, the best teammate I can be. Whatever it is, helping out Bryce or even the team, and just kind of owning your role throughout the year. And that's part of being, like you said, the best person and best teammate I can be.
What's it like going to Chris Broussard, and over the last couple of days, what's he been like as a teammate?
Oh, he's a heck of an athlete. Different type of level for sure, and he makes plays. He's made plays throughout this camp, and he's going to continue to develop and continue to hone in on his game, and just like him, he's a great person as well. We've had a bunch of conversations, got to know him over this weekend, and it's only good news from him for sure.
How would you describe his personality?
Oh, he's funny for sure. Great guy, like I said, and just he wants to be good, and he's going to work his tail off to be the best person and best player he can be.
Haynes, I read that you transferred to Georgia Tech without any promise of NIL money, any promise of starting there. How does that experience of betting on yourself compare to this experience of being a rookie in the NFL?
I believe it's kind of the same throughout any situation. You could just bet on yourself. That's part of the confidence of what you need to have to even play this position. And to have any sort of success, you have to have self-confidence in what you do, and you got to own yourself, own your role, and just work from there.
Kind of building off that, Canals talked about your maturity, just kind of being an older guy as well. How much does that help in a weekend like this where it's a little bit of baptism by fire?
Yeah, the older you are, the more you get to experience, and like you said, sometimes maturity comes with age, and I feel like I'm pretty mature, and I've seen a lot happen. So I get to, when you experience it, now you're like, okay, I've seen this, or you might have even done this before, and you can learn off. Nowadays, you learn off of either seeing it or doing it, and that's a big part of the maturity, I believe.
Haynes, back on Brazel, he's a guy with pretty big catch radius. Saw that today in the back of the end zone. What's it like throwing him in that regard?
Coach, just get in his area. He's got a huge catch radius, and just give him a chance on the ball, he's going to come down with it for sure.
How are you with catching the ball?
I would say I'm pretty good. I got to catch the snap every day, every play. So quarterbacks have to have sort of some sort of good hands.
Well, a lot of insiders have been saying maybe you could be a Jason Hill type player. Can you get out in the flat? Can you make those plays?
If that's what the team needs, I'll do it. Like I said earlier, with owning your role, owning who you are, and what's best for the team. Be a great teammate.
Do you notice comparisons? Like, do they, I don't want to say upset you, but is it sort of a knock on what you've done as a quarterback when you hear, like, he can be a gadget type guy at the next level?
Not too much, because at the end of the day, everybody kind of wants to play. And also Taysom Hill, he's a pretty good athlete and a pretty good ball player as well. But I feel like in my confidence that I can play quarterback at this level. So that's my first goal, is make it as a quarterback and do as best as I can. But also at the end of the day, if the team needs that, I'm down for it. But first and foremost, I'm going to try to make it as a quarterback.
What are the last couple of months been like for you? Draft process, signing as a free agent, picking a team. What has that been like for you? And then what have you learned about yourself during the process?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, exciting things going on, but a lot of anxiously waiting, because you just kind of don't know where you're going to end up, don't know what's going to happen, but just got to do it with the people you love, your small circle that you have, whether it's family, friends, all that. And when you do that and you just kind of be in the moment and experience it through that, everything's kind of fun, and you just kind of put it in God's hands and let Him have it.
What has it been like?
Even more, like.
Oh yeah, for sure. Going through that, experience does that as well. When you're going through this, it's a lot of, I guess, mental adversity, you not knowing what to do, and now it's like, okay, now I'm probably a little bit more patient than I was before this process. So.
You talked about patience, talked about your age. You're also the son of a coach, a pretty legendary high school football coach in Texas. What is it like? What's it been like for him to kind of see you achieve these NFL dreams? And I mean, how has being a son of an NFL or a son of a coach helped you to this point?
It's helped me out a lot. You know, he was hard on me. He never gave me anything, and you know, to win the job, I had to like win over the whole team at first. You know, so it wasn't easy, but you know, going through this process with him, and especially, you know, this even just this past year, you kind of look at life differently. Like I don't know if you know this, but he had mouth cancer, and just to be able to go through that, I mean, it just shows like who he is as a person. And then, like I said, when you go through that, it hits harder when it hits close to home, you know, and kind of gives you a new perspective of life. And but I think it's been good. It's been good for me. Been good for the family as well.
Thanks, Hayes.
Thank y'all.
Hell yeah, Hayes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, his dad is legendary Texas high school coach John King, by the way. Extremely talented head
They do
coach
it different down there in
high school
Texas
down
with
there.
high school.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, serious business down there. And, you know, he got that Taysom Hill question, and he was all over it, Pickle. His response sounded like it had already been canned.
Right.
It really did. It sounds like maybe they had a discussion with him probably before he signed as a UDFA for $250,000 that, hey, man, we're going to try you out in some different places and let you do some different things.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all right, well, that's cool. It's better than not being drafted. You know what I mean? It's better than not having an opportunity. So this is his chance to get into the league, and this happens with guys, you know, to stay in the league. They have to do things that maybe they didn't think they were going to do, whether it's play special teams. And we may see maybe Haynes King becomes a great special teams player who is active on the 53 or the 45, whatever, excuse me. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe he's active on game days playing special teams, and every once in a while gets in there and takes a snap. Maybe he's the guy that runs the sneak for Bryce. I hadn't really considered that a whole lot. They did need somebody on that 4th and 1, 4th and short, to dive forward and get the yard. And it might be this man right here. You know, we saw Panthers do it with Mitchell Evans last year. Well, maybe going forward, they do it with Haynes King.
Right. Well, I mean, they could they could just have a couple skill sets ready, providing Haynes actually beats out Kenny Pickett for the backup role, to where he comes in and runs a few things. I think that if they tried every time they got in the red zone, Haynes King come out there the red zone quarterback. Well, I mean, the Saints do it with Taysom Hill, or they used to. So I can't exactly say that it doesn't work, because everybody knows it. People knew when Taysom Hill walked into the field that they were going to run that football with him, and nobody stopped him, including us. So.
No, that's a fact. We have struggled with him and those packages that he's in. I mean, even at tight end, we struggled with him. Jeez, man, it's been lining him up in the backfield as a halfback. We struggled with him. Hey, maybe that's the wave for Haynes King. Maybe he lines up at halfback a little bit.
Oh, that's possible.
It is possible. It is. Maybe we see that. That's more realistic to me than maybe some of the other stuff.
Right. Give him a few trick plays. That's very possible. I mean,
just a simple toss play.
Yeah, I think that they absolutely have. I think you're spot on by his comment. I think they have had that conversation with him.
He just needs to get on the field however it takes. If it's gadget plays, just do your job, make some plays. If you don't get a job here, you'll go somewhere else because of that.
I mean, it's for him to be an undrafted rookie, it would be an achievement to beat Kenny Pickett for the number 2 job. That would be an achievement.
I think it's borderline impossible. I don't think he has hardly any chance of beating out Kenny Pickett.
Right.
I mean, I really don't. I think he's on the team for a different reason. It's not just his throwing ability. He's on the team for his running ability. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, man. I mean, the guy set records at Georgia Tech. He
Right.
wasn't no bum.
Right.
I can't remember. You told me what the record setting whatever was. He
Uh,
rushed for 1,000 yards and threw for 3,000 yards or something. It was
yeah,
just
something.
it was
Yeah.
all Haynes King offense, basically, is what
Right.
it was.
Right.
Pickle, it's been dead for a little while, but why can't we march him out there in the red zone and run like some wildcat or some kind of just special
Well, I mean,
play or
you
something? Just
could,
give him some
you could,
packages.
you could packages. You absolutely could, and you could. It all depends on what Dave is or Brad is willing to dare. The only question I would have was, it would mean activating 3 quarterbacks on your 53 men or activating 3 quarterbacks on game day. So, but I mean, unless if he was already your number 2, it would help out. But we'll just have to wait and see. That all may work out anyway, so if they're planning to do that, they'll have all them I's dotted and their T's crossed, I'm sure. So, that absolutely.
Who was the quarterback that we had before that was the big special teams guy? Joe something. I can't think of it right now because we're live.
Joe
Webb.
Joe
That's
Webb.
right. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And
that's not that crazy to think that this guy's filling the same role, Pickle.
Right. And Joe Webb started out with the Vikings, and they tried to switch him to receiver, and he couldn't make the transition to full-time receiver. But what he did do was return and was just that gadget guy, and we took him and made him a backup quarterback. Pretty good one, I think, personally. So, and he was our gadget guy, special teams, kick returner. He was the only guy that was listed as a third string quarterback, but yet he was active on the game days because he was a pretty good kick returner, and he could play gunner as well. So, I mean, that was a rare one there. Joe Webb was.
Well, maybe that's what we do with Haynes King. Maybe he's our
It
kick
could be.
returner. Maybe
It could
ETN
be.
really lost his job with that fumble on the punt last year. Maybe they want Haynes King back there returning punts.
That's possible. That's a good conversation to throw this in here. If you're going to look at the entire running back position, and y'all know who our running backs are, so I'm not going to pull it up. You look at the entire running back position, does any of them have an opportunity or a chance to beat Chuba Hubbard for the starting job? Could we go out week 1 and have a different starting running back because they've outperformed Chuba in training camp and preseason?
If you're asking my opinion, the only one I think that has a chance is Jonathan Brooks. I don't think anybody else gets the opportunity.
Pickle, I'm calling my shot right now. It's going to happen in week 2. They're going to try that bullshit week 1, and Brooks is going to pop off, and they're going to have to give him the keys.
Oh, well, that's possible. That'd be cool. We know our man G Baby liked that pretty well. So, but
I don't know. I'm really curious on what they do with Dylan. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know how involved he's going to be. Just like last year, I didn't know how involved Rico was going to be. Well, it turned out Rico got really highly involved. And it could be the same thing this year. We could see Brooks maybe struggle, rusty. You know what I mean? Maybe Brooks is rusty to begin the season, and Dylan looks good and polished and starts picking up carries.
Let me throw this out there in a hypothetical scenario. Game on the line. 2nd down. Game on the line. We're goal line situation. Haynes King comes out at quarterback. Brooks come out at running back. Dylan comes out at fullback. Who you watching the ball? Who's the ball going to?
Brooks or Dylan?
The defense, the linebacker freaks out because he had no idea where that ball was. Interesting conversation. Interesting concept that would have.
I like this offensive line, dude. And I look forward to having a great running game this year. I mean, I really do. I trust in this offensive line. You got Monroe Freeland is probably your week 1 swing tackle, dude. week 1. You know what I mean? And it's a guy that I think is going to end up starting probably before the season's over. But you're week 1 swing tackle. And I can see them running that 3 tight end set. Guess who would be in there? Monroe Freeland in that 3 tight end set as a tight end.
Right.
I really do. I think we can run the ball great this year. I think we see it. And Sam Heck too. Boy, man, I'm so excited about the 2 guys we grabbed in the draft for this offensive line. It's the depth we need. It's the players we need. It's positions we need. It's a great fit. It really is a great fit. And I think because of it, we're more effective running the ball this year than last year.
Right.
We really lost steam. We really lost steam towards the end of the year because of the injuries. And I don't think we see that this year. I think we're rock solid running the ball.
You know, the other day, Cole, we was talking about backup offensive backup guard. And I was thinking this morning, if I am Dave Canales and Dan Morgan, I'm going to call up Brady Christensen. Then I thought about it. Why? Brady ain't going nowhere. Brady ain't getting ready to sign with no another team. You know, he's staying worked out. He already knows the offense. Ain't no hurry to it. So I'm going to wait till training camp opens so I can get or at least mandatory mini camp. So I 100% know the health and when he may be coming back. Icky. Because if Ikemi Kwanu can be healthy for training, for preseason, for regular season, I'd have no problems whatsoever activating all 4 tackles and both centers, and of course your guards, and then calling that my offensive line. Because if I need a backup guard, I'll have it either a center or a tackle that'll kick in. You know, you never know what you have.
I love that.
And I that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. I don't see any need or hurry to call somebody up and fill into the backup role, because you have other guys on your roster that you have other folks and some UDFAs. You never know what you got till you reach down and get them. So I wouldn't be in such a big hurry to go sign another offensive lineman. There ain't no hurry for that. Or, you know, you'll have final roster cuts anyway. So, but absolutely. Now, switching the role to tight ends. Tommy Trimmel's classified as our tight end 1 right now. Who starts out week 1 as the starting tight end on your roster?
I think it's Tommy Trimble, and it's not even close.
Me too.
I don't think anybody challenges him.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay, well, that's a good answer. I've heard some folks say that Evan Mitchell they thought would have an opportunity. I think he'll learn a lot.
That's what my heart wants, Pickle, but that's not the right answer.
Right. But he's going to have to come out in the middle of the game to show things.
Yes.
But they rotate that tight end room and probably as much as they rotate our defensive line. They really do. So, but
they give them boys opportunities. They really do.
Right.
And that's the thing with Tommy Pickle. It's funny, Tommy Pickles. Never mind. If you do that, you know what I'm talking about now with Rugrats. Now you see what I was doing.
Yeah.
I think that'll work though, because if you do that, you need to keep all your extra linemen.
Right.
Because they're not all going to stay healthy throughout the year. That's just that doesn't happen. Somebody's going to be out a week. Somebody's going to be out 2 weeks. You can never do enough for that. And I do believe you when you said there's some versatility with those guys. I think they can easily get on the field.
Right.
Yeah, Earl likes Evan Mitchell. I didn't tell you, but I like.
I do like Evan. I'm going to throw his name out there just because I posted a video of him today. James Mitchell might be a hit. James Mitchell might be a hidden.
Little Jim? You
That
calling
y'all
him a
don't
hidden
know about
gem
yet.
right now?
He could. He could very well could be.
I liked him last year, so I'm not gonna laugh at you.
Right.
We'll see him in preseason. He looked good in
Yeah.
preseason last year. He looked great in
Right.
preseason last year. And I'm like,
Right.
why is this guy
Right.
not getting the ball? Why is he not on the field?
Right.
But Tommy didn't
Right.
have a horrible year last year. They mostly give him opportunities
Right.
to block. It's and
Mhm.
in a year where we're looking for somebody to play left tackle from a bad injury to ours. I mean, I think Tommy's the guy you go with. You go with the most solid blocker in the group. And Mitchell Evans is coming for that, and he's nipping at Tommy's heels as far as best blocker in the group. But we'll see how that plays out. I think Kevin, the guy that me and you like, is more of a tight end too. He's the guy
Right.
that's leaking out, getting downfield, sneaky when the defense isn't looking at him, chewing up some yards. I don't know. We'll find out what happens with him, Cole. I don't know what's going to happen.
And Pickle, that's what I was talking about when I was talking about the offensive line again. Is Trimble kind of feels like an extension of that at times when he's been good in run blocking. And if he continues to run block and he's moving people and they're running the ball to his side of the field, it's going to be hard for them to take him off the field. And I can't be mad at him, even if he doesn't do shit receiving. I know that sounds wild, but if he's doing his thing run blocking, it's hard to take him off the field, in my opinion.
Right. Right. Well, Justin, I kind of agree with you, but here's what we were talking about. OTAs begin in a few weeks, literally. Our mandatory minicamp begins in a few weeks, literally a few weeks. Wait a few weeks, see where you're at. You could sign, you could sign Brady Christensen next week, late next week. No hurry. And to be honest, I say Brady Christensen because we're all familiar with him. But let's be real. If you sign Brady Christensen, is it going to surprise anybody for a week after we sign him to find out he's dealing with an injury? Is it really
No.
going to surprise anybody? So, no. So, I mean, I do like Isaiah Glass, though, Stephen. That's the guy I was trying to get to. I really do like Isaiah Glass. I think he could be a very good swing tackle in the future. I really do like Isaiah Glass.
Pickle, was he a UDFA?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Answer my question too.
I just wanted to be right because I was trying to think. I don't remember him drafted, but I did know he was on the team, so I just wanted to be correct.
Right.
You just never know because we don't know shit about him.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
He could come right in there and take a spot, be a depth piece.
Right. And, tackles, for example. Our defensive tackles rotate. A lot of people think they come in, your starters come in for 2 downs or 3 downs, and somebody else comes in on 3rd down. And then that's not how it works out anymore. The tackles rotate such a high pace. You're liable to catch a time when it's 3rd down and you've got 2 nose tackles in there. It's just they rotate quite frequently, and that's how they bank that. So, and we've kind of been dropped to by the coaches and the GM and even the reporters that cover this team. I've said there's such a high rotation at defensive tackle, doesn't really matter who's classified as a starter or not. See, the question is when they go into a game day, who's active and who ain't. That's the key.
Because they're all going to play. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. But I'm still wanting to ask y'all this, not even in sense of like a depth chart thing. Who do you think is going to get more snaps out of Bobby Brown and Hunter? Because I would almost give Hunter the keys right now.
Yeah, I think we're probably on that path, Cole. I mean, I really do. They wouldn't have traded up and grabbed him in the 2nd round if it was any other way.
You're not going to bury him on the depth chart doing that shit. I don't feel like.
No. The only way that Hunter gets buried on the depth chart is if his contract dispute comes a little longer than they planned, and he arrives in camp in the middle of camp where he's already behind.
No, that will mess some shit up, no doubt about it.
So that's the only way I see that he gets down on the depth chart.
Well, big steps are needed from the offense this year. I think
Absolutely.
all
Absolutely.
Panthers fans agree with that. I think that's the direction we need to be moving. We can't finish 27th in the NFL again this year. We got to get more yardage, and chunk yardage is a big part of that. And I think that's why Chris Brazel is our camp darling so far.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we talked about it here. I told you we run across that name several times doing all these mock drafts that we did getting ready in this coverage for this year, Cole. And I told you Brazel was the guy I wanted. We got him in here. Now Panthers fans see why he was the guy I wanted. He's not a one-trick pony like they tried to paint him out to be in the draft. And I'm glad they did. Good job. You made him drop farther. We got a better deal on him. Well, that's great.
The average fan wouldn't know this, and I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but they would automatically assume with Chris getting drafted that that's going to affect Nalo and his targets, but it's actually not. Because now you're going to have to pay attention to him as well as our other receivers. You can't just put all of your attention on Nalo. And that's when Nalo's going to be in his best. He's going to catch you in man-to-man coverage, and he's going to make a big play. And Chris has that same play potential-wise, and he has the speed as well. We have had a pair of receivers like this, stature-wise, with the abilities they have in a long-ass time, if ever, Panther Pickle.
I don't think we've ever had 2 6'5" guys out there on the field.
You're muted, Pickle.
Time. 1 and 2.
I caught you.
Of course I am.
Yeah, I caught you before you got going there, brother.
Oh, if you look at Chris Braswell with his height, he's 6'4", and you look at his speed and his hands, a lot of these nickel or safeties that's going to cover these receivers,
they don't stand a damn chance, Pickle.
They don't have a chance. I mean, it would be dumb to not to line him up for goal.
Put a little slot corner on him and watch what happens.
Right.
Pickle.
You know, and you talk about Bryce faking the handoff, rolling out to the right. Let me say this. We've used Brooks, and Brooks has got a bunch of yardage, and all of a sudden the defense drops the safety in the box. We line up with 3 wide receivers. They lock the safety in the box to stop Jonathan Brooks, and all of a sudden Bryce snaps the ball. He rolls to his right. He tosses the ball to a wide open Chris Brazel, because the 5'6" corner who's running a 4'8" can't keep up. The safety just gets stiff armed to the ground, and Chris Brazel takes it all the way to the house for a touchdown.
Our receivers are that big that they can do that.
Because they can do that. I've seen Chris stiff arm people before.
One of my favorite highlights from last year was early in the season. It was the second game of the year. It was Nalo catches the ball on the outside, fakes the inside spin, does the outside spin, loses the defender. Safety runs up on him. Nalo puts his head down and trucks the guy, and the guy ends up on his back. Nalo went out of bounds when he hit him, but he still trucked the dude, and that's what I'm talking about. And we've got that talent all over this wide receiver room, seriously. We really do. But there's 3 guys now that can do that, if not 4, because Coker looked pretty beastly last year. So, yeah, we can run over some guys in the secondary. I mean,
Absolutely.
We really have that potential. And it's nice. It's nice to have this problem in Carolina, because I don't think we've had this problem before.
Nope.
We're deep at wide receiver. When it's all said and done, when we look back at it, once the season gets going good, I think we will say that.
Right.
And we're that's something that we are definitely not used to. You can sell it to me, Pickle, on having the loaded backfield. We've seen many years like that.
Right.
But a potential star-studded cast of wide receivers, we could have potentially 2 to 3 of those, and we've never had that.
Right. Right now, the Saints nickel corner is safety Julian Blackman.
And how tall is Julian Blackman?
6 foot exactly.
Okay.
But Lawrence Styles was drafted to replace him, and he's 6 foot. He's another safety, by the way.
All right. So they got to go up over somebody that's already 4 inches taller than them, and he can jump out the gym.
And to be fair,
not going to be able to do it.
Fair, right? This is just OTAs, so to speak. And the Saints are converting to a 3-4 defense. So, where they have been running, But
we owe them a whooping. Oh, we owe them a whooping this
right,
year.
and
I think more than one.
their number 2 tight end, or their number 2. Well, not let me just say, their corner, one of their startings outside corner is 5'11", 195 pounds. It's Quincy Riley.
And who the hell is he going to guard?
I don't
Not
know.
low.
He's on the right side. And Kool-Aid is 5'11". Let me just tell you what, y'all. I've seen Braswell beat Kool-Aid like a drum. I've seen that. That
Blue Blind didn't even slow down, did he?
no. That's there. That's right there. A Kool-Aid in a corner. Yeah, didn't stand a chance, or safety rather, didn't stand a chance.
I think y'all might get your wish. I'm not even going to say y'all because y'all are like me. However, we get it. But the people that are just dying for us to throw the ball down the field, I think you might be getting ready to get your damn wish.
I'm starting to wonder. I heard a guy say that today, and we've had that conversation before, but ourselves. But it's highly possible that they come out with a different offense and actually throw the ball a lot more.
Sure.
Right.
I could see you revamping the whole damn thing.
Right.
I mean, we're kind of built for it now, aren't we?
I mean, the Bucks nickel corner is Jacob Parrish from Kansas City, or from Kansas State. He's 5'10", 198 pounds.
The size difference is going to kill those slot corners.
Yeah. I mean,
and he's faster than them too, probably.
Right. And yeah, and you're going to see a lot of those type corners, or you're going to see a lot of, especially our division rivals. They'll be shaking some things up because they've had to go into this draft understanding that the Panthers like tall receivers. We got to work on that.
Got to start calling some plays for that.
Right. The one thing that I'm interested in seeing is actually in training camp, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. I want to see how Charles Smith-Wade does when he goes up against Chris Braswell.
You know how it's going to look. You don't even need to pose that question.
But Corey Thornton's 6 foot, so.
Now, Corey might give him hell. He might not be able to do that to Corey right off the gate.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, Pickle. The game I went to and watched Braswell, I'm not going to sit here and say he had 1,000 yards. He only had 3 catches. But sitting up in the upper deck, he stood out like a thumb. Like, he was big, fast, and you just all of our fans was like, who the hell is that? But he's noticeable. Like, he's going to have that effect when you watch him in person. He's a big physical specimen, just like Nala.
Right. I personally believe, and am I biased against Chris Braswell? Probably am. But you're going to see, I think a lot of folks are going to fall in love with Chris Braswell just because he's tall and he can actually make plays.
He's going to go get the damn ball and attack it.
Right. And Stephen Bailey, you're 100% correct.
He is. I just read that. It's a great comment.
To me, you can't say Bryce Young can't play this game and watch him sling the ball against the Rams and other teams. You just can't do it. I still wonder at times, maybe and maybe they did it this year. They need to take the handcuffs off and let Bryce play ball.
I think you got the weapons to do that now.
Right.
I think you got everything you need to be able to do that now. There's no excuse not to. He'll be able to thrive, but I think that whole just hiding him or whatever, that's bullshit.
Right.
And he's 3 years in. He won the South. He got us to the playoffs. I don't give a damn what the record was. If he does that, has another nice season, and gets that done, who are you to argue him signing a long extension here? And that's anybody. If you aren't, you just ain't a real fan. I know I said that once earlier tonight, but you're really not. You cannot.
It ain't nobody saying.
back-to-back playoffs runs, D's, how are you going to say he's not our quarterback?
Right.
Ain't nobody saying but the stats at that point.
Right.
We make the playoffs again this year. Nobody cares. Bryce Young
Right.
only threw for 3,700 yards. Nobody cares. We made the playoffs again. If he's clutch at the end of the game, which is what he was, it doesn't matter. He's a winner. He's your franchise quarterback because he wins games.
That's all they need to do.
Not because he threw for 17 yards per attempt or whatever it is. That stuff, yeah, we can bring all that up. We can break all that down, but that doesn't mean anything if you're winning games. Nobody cares. The only thing the fans care about is the dubs at the end of the day. That's really all that matters.
Right.
I think even Bryce would tell you himself he would much rather have a game where they won and he was ugly instead of him being pretty and they lose. Any quarterback would tell you that answer. It's all about winning with them. And he's a winner, and I think he'll continue to prove that.
Right.
But he cannot turn that damn ball over, Pickle. That's the only thing with him. I'm not worried about his arm, none of that shit. His awareness, him being able to see, just do not turn that damn ball over, and he will be fine, and we will win games.
Absolutely. Y'all, that's what I've got. Anybody got anything they want to bring up? Anything want to talk about? Say.
You had a phenomenal show.
We did have a phenomenal show. And I want to say, make sure you go watch the Brotherhood edition from last night if you missed it. Go watch it right now since we're finishing up here. It's a fantastic episode. Probably the best edition of the Brotherhood that we've done.
Earl. Great comment.
That was a great comment. It was right along in line with everything we've discussed
So
here
is
tonight.
Justice too.
Right. A lot of people want to push a narrative. That's what they're after for. Push a narrative, and I'm not certain who said it. Maybe it was Justin. A lot of folks want to push a narrative because they want to have the ability to say they were right all along.
Yep. Shout out to the chat. Y'all are awesome.
So
142 strong. We appreciate each and every one of you. Best subscribers on YouTube, coolest people on YouTube. Y'all show up and show out each and every time, whether it's a video or a live show. I couldn't ask for anything more. You guys are the best.
Y'all
keep out of Panther Pickle.
Look at me, you see my toe. Promise is broken, our blood and oil. We started in darkness, 0 and 2, but the lighthouse kept burning, guiding us through. The doubters were loud, the critics were mean. Said this young team had no chance to dream, but we kept on pounding through the stormy night. Our lighthouse remained